Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Mike Brancatelli here. This is Mikeadelic. Welcome back. Welcome to the show. Kind of feels like we're all in a show right now, doesn't it? Kind of feels a little surreal. Waking up every morning, at least my thought process every morning is, oh, yeah, there's like a global event happening that we're all connected to that's affecting the nature of normal reality. It almost feels like, I think, what Adam Curtis defined as hypernormal, hypernormalization, where I'm using that term from Adam Curtis's documentary Hypernormalization that came out in 2016, where he puts forth the idea that governments, bankers, technocratic elites, these kinds of people, really since like the 70s have given up on any idea of nuanced, complex visions of reality and have constructed a sort of holographic simulation world that is built on a simple model that is just mass produced and run on autopilot by corporations and kept stable by the politicians, like kept in in this sort of normal state, right? Which it does feel like that. I mean, it's like, hey, everything's gonna be okay. Like this, whatever's going on right now, there's this kind of like simple stay calm narrative, right? It's like, oh, it's okay. It's like this virus, and it's just all we got to do is just social distance, a little isolation, little incremental changes here and there. And now you hear Fauci, coming out saying, oh yeah, maybe we should never shake hands again, and maybe we shouldn't. Oh, maybe we shouldn't touch people. Maybe we'll, Bill Gates, like, oh yeah, like maybe people won't be able to congregate in public anymore. I mean, it's crazy, but it's this boiling of the frog approach. I think I've spoken about this before, is where the heat gets turned up, or changes are made incrementally over time. Time is a great manipulator. You could really manipulate a population of people almost into doing anything over a long period of time if you just do it the right way, incrementally. And, is that what's happening here? Are we all being manipulated? I don't know. Maybe we're in on it. Maybe we're manipulating ourselves. I mean, if we're all one consciousness experiencing itself subjectively through every single diverse being on the planet, living entity, maybe this is some kind of great game that we're all in on, some grand illusion. I tend to think that we kind of do like that. That's why people keep showing up to the polls to vote. People keep doing, these stupid things, in my opinion, to hope for some kind of simple solution, or some kind of easy thing that they can do to participate, to make some kind of change. But really, maybe we're all just like we're all just sitting in the theater watching the grand magicians and saying, amuse me, entertain me, trick me. We want to be in on the trick. We want to be in on the illusion. We want to be in on the charade. And not only do we want to be tricked, but we want to be like doubly tricked. We want to trick ourselves too into knowing the story. Ha. I did quote unquote research online. I watched a couple videos, and now I know that 5G is causing the virus. Or, really it's the, multidimensional pedophile reptiles that live in Earth's core that are manipulating us through telepathic and telekinetic remote viewing viewing dark magic, right? It's the dark wizards that live on the moon. The moon is really a space station. Oh, I have the facts, folks. I have the documents. I broke into Bohemian Grove. I've been talking about this since 1999. I mean, it's just like we're in like a narrative war or something, like meme wars. It's just the complexity of the human species at this period of time is unprecedented. We have never been more connected, and we have never been more informed. But we've also never been more alone, and we have never been more delusional, and the propensity to buy into illusions. That's why I'm asking all of you to send me $12,000 to Mycadelic headquarters. I have a compound out here in the desert in Colorado, and I'm gonna make you safe. I'm gonna take all your fears away, all your worries. I'm gonna tell you the truth. I know the truth about reality. I know the truth about who you are. So I'm gonna save you. I'm gonna save the world. Come with me. Build my commune with me, and together we will fight the dark forces. All I require is $12,000. You can Venmo me. You can PayPal me. Just send it to me immediately. Why 12? I don't know, because it's just a number that I made up right now off the top of my head as I'm trying to indoctrinate you into my cult. Now is the perfect time for cults, swindlers, tricksters, hucksters, shysters, false prophets, shamans, magicians, wizards, occultists, clairvoyants, clairaudience, people who have aunts named Claire that live in Long Island that read tarot card and smoke Marlboro Lights. Now is the perfect time for people who swear that they're a Pleiadian, blue angel starseed from Zeta Reticula. Now is the perfect time for everyone to come out of the woodwork with their answers, with their solutions, with their stories, with their theories, with their videos, with their deep fakes. What is going on? No one's gonna know. That's why I recommend surrendering to my cult. Surrender to my cult, the Mycadelic cult. Surrender into the mystery and surf. Let yourself be taken away into the sea of the unknown. And then you get a little bit of clarity on the situation, I think. I think you get a little bit of clarity on like, holy shit, this is just a tornado. And there's not really so much that we can actually do on a grand scale level. That's why I think the individual is so important. The individual, it all starts with the individual. Because when you have enough individuals that spontaneously come together in a voluntary manner to collaborate, create, and construct new ways of being, new modalities of existence, new modes of thought, and new ways of relating and organizing and sharing and caring on a local level, I think that's maybe when we find ourselves exiting the prison of this mass global hegemonic construct. This like machine that's just been flicked on, this hyper normal machine that's been flicked on and has just been running. And we've all been just kind of like marching along to it. So join my cult for 12 grand. I'm talking about you, 12K. And I'll take all your fears away. Join my cult today. Damn, that was top of the head guy. You know I don't practice with this show. I am good. That's why you should join my cult, because I am good. I could sing a tune, sing a song from the top of my head. I don't even know what's going on. Oh my God. I mean, if that's not enough proof in the pudding of how much of a magical God being that I am, join my cult. Send me 12,000. I'll take all your fears and worries away. Kind of like that guy, Kenneth Copeland, who looks like a demon. I'm pretty sure he is. Okay, that guy is one of the scariest fucking people. These Christian fundamentalists, televangelists, whatever the fuck they are, these charlatan demons, literal demons. These, like, look at these people and you look at their eyes. I think his name is Kenneth Copeland. Google him, Kenneth Copeland. He was the one that was in his church, like, blowing coronavirus away. I say, get out of here. Wah! Get out of here. Go on, get coronavirus. This guy, look at this guy's face. If that is not Lucifer incarnate, then I don't know what is. This guy is straight up demonic. Even if they don't look demonic, this guy looks demonic. Look at his eyes. Look at his face. Jim Baker, Lori Baker, these people, Pat Robertsons, and this guy. I mean, these guys. I'm telling you, if there wasn't ever if they weren't killing it, if they weren't killing the huckster charlatan game before, they sure are lapping it up right now. Man, the gall, Then again, that's what people want. We want to be tricked. We want some savior to come and take us away to a new place where there's no worry and fear and everything is okay. But but it's not. That is the real hard truth that I think humanity has to learn. The majority of humanity is that there is no solid floor to stand on, that everything is liquid, that everything is moving and changing and morphing and mutating and transfiguring and transmuting and all the kinds of transformers. This is what we do. Steady state staticness is dull and boring. Complex, diverse novelty and interweaving with each other is what we do. And so whatever's going on right now, there's so much of that happening that it's like we're diving into all of these narratives and trying to figure out what is it, what's the agenda, what's the plan, what's going to happen, And a good rule of thumb that I try and follow is knowing that it doesn't necessarily matter exactly what the thing is. What matters is knowing the trends and knowing the patterns and knowing the likelihoods and trying to predict based on that. If you look at civilizations of the past, if you look at the ascent of humanity, as Charles Eisenstein puts it, the rise of civilization. If you look at what we do, it's pretty easy to see where we'll go. Coronavirus isn't going to kill everyone on the planet. It's not going to end the world. The planet's not going to be destroyed. We're not going to destroy the planet. The planet's not going to destroy us. But crazy shit is definitely on the table. And we all just we just wanted to go back to normal. We just want to go back to normal. Well, we're not going back to normal. Say bye-bye to normal. And really, one of my little pet peeves, if I'm allowed to have one right now, is people really trying to behave in a normal way. And maybe even distract themselves and say, hey, it's all right, this thing's going to be over pretty soon. So, just attend, all of these virtual events and, stay at home and engage in woodworking and, that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, definitely do that. Like paint and draw and be creative and expressive. It's definitely a time for rebirth and retuning and, like deepening into yourself and what really matters and that sort of thing and finding space for quiet. But it's also the time to pay the fuck attention to what powers in the world are wanting to do. It's definitely a time. Now is not the time to go about business as usual, go back to business as usual. People that want, I think, to go back to normal and back to business as usual, it's coming from a place of fear, uncertainty, of the unknown. We fear leaving these comfortable and familiar domains. The world that we knew is going to be not the same, and that's scary to a lot of us. But that's a message to lean into, not distract and move away from. The hero's journey is ringing on the telephone right now. There's a grand adventure that is waiting for all of us. I truly do believe that. Maybe it says, hey, your normal life wasn't serving you. Was it really serving you? Was your back to business as usual normal life actually producing the highest good that you could be, your highest human potential, fulfilling, enriching, and nourishing every single millimeter of your being, filling your soul and your spirit? Maybe now's the time to like pay attention to those messages and key in to choose a new normal for you, for us, for all of us. We are at the edge of the forest. We can go in a million different directions. There's a million different paths. There's a million different journeys. I think now's the time to choose the path, choose the one that we want to live. Our story is a story of us. It's not the story of the human story is a story of the individual, of the people. But we learn about the human experience through our history books and through what is known as history, capital H, through the story of governments and empires and institutions and the economy and wars. But that is the story of a separated, disconnected soul that has manifested a material externalization of the neurotic, controlling, dominating ego into the world. Our story, this human story, is the story of the human spirit to live into love and to thrive into infinite abundance. It can be. That can be it. But the story of fear and control and scarcity and borders and boundaries and lines and homogenization and disease and sickness, that is the story that has been sold to us. That is the narrative that is sold to us. And many people choose to buy into it. I'm not saying that, there's not an element of truth there, but it's that charlatan, that huckster that greases the wheels, that snake oil salesman. That's the swindler, the trickster, the magician. And a lot of us go, wow, because we like to be tricked. We like the illusion. We like the grand illusion. We like the simplicity of normalcy. Going back to business as usual, it may seem comforting and secure and familiar, but really, we need to think deeply outside of the confines of the sandbox of allowable thought, opinion, and expression. Turn off the news, turn off the TV, turn off all of the programming and conditioning tools that are building borders and boundaries in your mind, your body, your soul, and your spirit. Unleash and liberate the full human being to come out, the unbounded, infinite, abundant human being to emerge, one that lives a true life outside of fear, one that is love, and love is outside of fear, because fear is a time-based prison. Love is outside of time. So, now's the time to take advantage of this disruption of normal life, really, to investigate what is present. And what can we alchemize? What can we, stir in the cauldrons of our soul to sip on with our crews and our teams and our communities? What kind of elixirs can we make to transmute this old story, fear-based, limited worldview? We're so, in this modern world, we are so influenced, and myself included. I'm not outside of this. We are so influenced, primed, conditioned by the cultural narratives, the television narratives, the music, the pop culture music, the TV, the social media, the art, like all of it. And we think like, our identities are our jobs, our bank accounts, our religions, our names, what we wear, how we look. In order to survive and to thrive in what we call the normal world, we can't afford to stop. Most people can't afford to stop to think, to wonder, meander, and ponder, to truly, deeply go into the core of their thoughts and their being and discover them, not just for 30 minutes or an hour a day, but really detach from the program, unplug from the matrix. Most people can't afford to do that because they have to keep going. They have to keep producing, consuming, go. Otherwise, they die. Like I tweeted something the other day about, people were talking about 5G and all this stuff. And my theory on 5G is that I think 5G, like whatever is going on, I don't necessarily think it's causing the coronavirus, or it's there's this theory of like, oh, it's not really coronavirus isn't really real, it's just 5G, and it's like, all right, well, whatever, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's not. But it's a great distraction to discredit the real fear of 5G. You see, like there's a lot, like conspiracy theories are great, they're brilliant, because with conspiracy theories, you can just lump, like you have the flat earth, lizard, reptile people, and then you have like, well, I think that, JFK might have been murdered by, people within the government. I think maybe MLK was taken out by the FBI. And then it's like, those are like the legitimate conspiracy theories that are, just the truth, that powerful people conspire, which is they secretly plot and plan to take advantage of situations that enrich and empower them and their cronies and leave other people, dead, gone, whatever, step on other people. And then there's wacky tinfoil hat conspiracy theories. So if you could put them all together, then you could just dismiss the whole lot of them. And that's, I think, what's going on with the 5G thing, is that like people, oh yeah, okay, yeah, you think 5G causes, so people hear that, they dismiss it, and then they forget about what the real horror of 5G is. What the real horror of 5G is that it advances the ideology of a dominator worldview, one that measures human progress solely by growth, output, profits, industries, production, consumption, efficiency, products, and services to be bought and sold, to be traded, to be exchanged. And this is not the one defining characteristic. This is not the one defining narrative of what a human being is. On the contrary, this is the prison that tricks us all into voluntarily participating into it, also not voluntarily participating into it because we're mandated to, use the currency and pay our taxes and things like that. And if you don't, then you're fined. If you don't pay your fine, then you're jailed. You're literally, kidnapped by men with guns that will threaten death upon you, and they will put you in a cage. So it's not necessarily voluntary, but there is a voluntary thing that does happen. It is when, one of the real scary things also about this time right now is that people in LA are being incentivized by the mayor to snitch on people for violating social distancing rules, and people are getting like tickets and fines and things like that. I mean, this is crazy. And one of the scariest things, and you can see this throughout all of history, is when the people are purposefully divided amongst themselves, when we are polarized and there's a divisive, hateful, oppositional crowd, when we fear the other, when we rat and turn in our fellow man, our fellow human, our fellow woman, our fellow person. The story that I think is the story of the people and the story of the institutions, the ideas. And the ideas and the institutions, the toxic ideology seeps into our brains, and then we turn on each other when we should be uniting with each other to come up with better solutions to these plagues of institutions. I was just following orders is one of the most tragic things, and like that quote that I always use from Hermann Goering, like, people can be brought to do anything, right? In the Nuremberg trials after World War II, people can be brought to do anything if they're afraid and they're in fear. They're being you tell them that they're being attacked. You can manipulate them, but you tell people they're being attacked and people are fearful, and they're poor and they're destitute and they're desperate, and they can be manipulated to do anything, especially turn on their fellow neighbors. And, there was once a time where that is who we cherished the most. That's who we listened to the most, was our neighbors, our family, our community, our friends, our churches or religious affiliations, our civic associations, and, local gatherings. There's this sort of Americana kind of vision, old Americana kind of, 50s vision of the American dream, that was sold to the population. And it's a sort of a nice one, and I've definitely I definitely grew up with these sorts of things. Going to the Little League field and baseball and gatherings and Cub Scouts and, sleepovers and camping trip, this, but also like people kind of coming together at the local pool, the community, the town pool, and the rec center, and, the street fair, like the 4th of July fireworks show put on by my neighbor down the block, and just this loose respect for and love for each other and trust for each other. But now it's we are so whipped up into living in a monolithic, institutionalized dependency paradigm. We want the system to tell us what to do. We want the program to tell us what to do to save us. Most people now look to the government, look to the news, look to the CDC, the WHO, the World Health Organization, the UN, for answers. They're looking for authority figures and to tell them what is right and what to do, what not to do. When we have such large systems of power and control, it takes away our power and our control, what we can actually do and what we're capable of doing. It makes us really like domesticated animals. Because the truth is, no one's going to save you. The truth is that they want to enslave us more, because that's the nature of power. Power wants more power. Power wants more control. But, we do have a choice. We do have a choice. We have a choice. I think the choice is, it sounds maybe cliche or whatever, but it really is a choice between fear and a choice of love. The quote that I love to say all the time by Thomas Jefferson is, timid men prefer the calm of despotism to the tempestuous sea of liberty, right? It's like people who are fearful prefer to be boxed in with safe in a padded room with borders and boundaries, rules and regulations, with authority figures telling them what to do. But people who want unbounded, unhinged, raw freedom and raw liberty, that want to live in the thick of life, are willing to risk injury, death, sickness, whatever. In my opinion, the risk, the risk is worth it. Is worth it for that feeling of totally alive, just being totally alive. We do have a chance, though, right now, to really just detach, to stop going about business as usual. Like the thing that's happening right now should not be like, the thing that I worry most about is that people are just going about their trying to go about their normal lives and literally surrendering every single ounce of critical thinking over to what the news tells them, what the government tells them, wherever they get their information. Oh yeah, this. I was in the park the other day and I overheard this woman like, oh, I just can't wait till this thing's over, And it's like, I don't know, where is she getting her information? Someone's saying like, oh, pretty soon, like what? Why? Like, I would love to see just everybody just wake up and pay attention and be like, wait, what the fuck is going on? And really start to just to empower themselves to make their own decisions, to connect with their neighbors and their friends, not turn in their neighbors and their friends, but do what's right for your local community and group. Form a community. I mean, I'd say community, but like, how many people actually live in real communities? Most people live in areas where they don't know any of their neighbors. I mean, that is one of the most tragic things. This isolation that is increasing. We already had a lot of these terrible problems that we had about being detached, the lack of touch, the lack of intimacy and connection and closeness, the over sanitized germaphobe world has already been going on. And now it's getting worse. And I believe that it's actually a sickness that's worse than the disease. The sickness that's worse than a disease is the separation of the human being from the physical proximity and the physical space sharing and touch of the other human being. We need that more than we need anything. We need to be with each other. We need to feel each other. There's only so many things that are really, truly, truly important in this world. Love, connection, community, meaning, purpose, family, friends, water, food, shelter. When you have family, friends, love, and community, you can have all the other things too. Because we are all in it together. And when we're really all in it together, it means that we are really willing to live, to share with each other, to share a portion of our human experience with the other, to say, yeah, oh, you don't have that? Here, have some of mine. Come with me, be with us. We're here for you and you're here for us. That is the way that we are supposed to live. This thing is happening right now, but I'm also like in a position where I'm madly in love and like having lots of physical touch and intimacy, and it's amazing. It's certainly helping me get through what's going on way, way, way more than if I was alone, separated, disconnected, detached, isolated, stewing in my own thoughts and my solitude. And solitude has its place, but we need connection. We need each other. We need to be in the physical presence of each other. We need to feel each other. We need to live more in a world of feeling and less in a world of being in the headspace. The world of the headspace has been the world of civilization that we've gotten to this point. Now it's time to balance it out. Now it's time to say, hey, headspace, brain, mind, you did a really good job at constructing all these cool gadgets and all these abstract things that you brought into this reality, but let's get the heart space back into the equation. Let's get the soul back into the equation. And let's merge and create a world that is like this technological archaic revival, technologically adapted, mediated, and advanced revival to the archaic, to the hunter-gatherer style kind of community, the localization, the voluntary, no hierarchy, no leaders, no appointed figures, no centralized, concentrated, hegemonic world authorities. Think about how much power and control these people have over the globe right now. So the wheel has stopped. We have, a choice if we can construct a new wheel, a new vehicle. In these uncertain times, every time is uncertain. Life is uncertain. Nothing is, I think this is one of the things that people have such a hard time with right now, because they have this itching feeling like they want to go back to the plan. They want to go back to their plan. They want to go back to their predicted, their known world, without surprises and without, they want to go back to the map that they had set for themselves. And we all have that. This is the indoctrination of society. This is the brainwashing of the human being. This is the programming of the human being since birth. That the mainstream, injection into the mass mind is, grade school, junior high, high school, college, okay, job, internship, work, married, house, wife, kids. Standard narrative. One singular identity for millions and millions and millions and millions of stars. Yeah, I was going to change that to people, but I kept it as the Carl Sagan stars, because we're all stars. Millions and millions and billions of stars. And, being a star is awesome. I mean, you're just this exuberant ball of illuminated bliss. Without form, without identity, without a construct. You are. You just are. When you're a star, you just are. But for whatever reason, and I have a guess as to why, that we've chosen to incarnate into a world of limitations, into a world of finite form. And I truly believe, as Alan Watts has said, that because it's fun. Because we're playing the ultimate game of hide and seek. How would you know if you you wouldn't know black if you didn't know white. You wouldn't know day if you didn't know night, would you? it's the ultimate game of hide and seek. What would you do if you were God? But I really do believe that, because if anything, the psychedelic experience has provided to me, it has provided to me the knowledge of impermanence, but also the knowledge of diversity and novelty, complexity. Oh my God, look at all these colors, look at all these fractals, look at all these geometric patterns and shapes, and look at these visions, and look at all these colors and these sounds. That is what is the most appealing about consciousness. To be it all, or to be the one singular all, shattered and fragmented and fractured into a million gajillion pieces. That seems more fun. I can't think of any other reason for life to exist than for that, and for fun. I mean, like my view, the way that I see things is through infinite creation, infinite opportunity. I was listening to this Ram Dass talk the other day where he was talking about, fear, and like how, just Jesus is getting nailed to the cross, and he's like, "Oh man, that's crazy that you guys want to do that." Oh, all right, yeah, sure, nail me up, yeah, kill me, torture me, whatever you want to do. You can never, you never kill me. I mean, we're doing it to each other. We are doing it to ourselves. We're in on it. You're in on it. We're all in on it. And you might say, well, how do you know, Mike? I don't. I'm just talking about what I feel and think and see and feel. It's a I don't know. I mean, being someone who explores with altered states of consciousness, I have thrown myself into the agnostic, uncertain, choppy waters of uncomfortable insecurity, instability, and shattered, fragmented, wiggly, and fluid. The fluidness of the world, the wiggliness of the world, the prickly goos and the gooey prickles. I've experienced death, non-existence. I've experienced the shaky terrain and territory. I have unplugged myself from the program, from the treadmill, from the production and consumption world, to my detriment. I've suffered a great deal from doing that. But in my opinion, I believe it was worth it, because I was truly 100% uninfluenced by an outside paradigm of authority telling me what to do and how to be with my life, telling me that I need to produce something to be a part of the program, that I need to follow certain kinds of rules just so my existence would be acknowledged. And if we think about it, that is what we have happening here. I actually shared a great quote posted up by a good friend Trisha Eastman and Isolation Tank crew member about the indigenous perspective, the indigenous worldview, where she says, one aspect of the Aboriginal traditional belief system is the notion that there should be no bosses. Ultimately, it is thought all humans are equal, and that they are all less than the dreamtime beings whose edicts they have to follow. Humans cannot make or change the law. It is established and laid down for all time in the creative epoch. So there is supposedly no need for leaders. And then it says Sackett. I'm not sure who that is. But I looked at that and I just said, yeah. One aspect of the Aboriginal traditional belief system is the notion that there should be no bosses. Ultimately, it is thought all humans are equal in that they are all less than the dreamtime beings whose edicts they have to follow. Humans cannot make or change the law. It is established and laid down for all time in the creative epoch, so there is supposedly no need for leaders. And I just, we are all leaders. We're all leaders. We are all in charge of our own destinies and our own realities. There's so much power to be tapped into by every single person if we would learn how to just open it up a little bit more and let it blossom and trust it. And, have the courage to face the unknown and the uncertain. Sounds like a jet just flew overhead. Huh. It's really, really ripping up the sky. But, this is exactly the kind of thing that, these jets flying overhead and whatnot, it's like the creative technological innovation that we have is wonderful. It's brilliant. But at what point do we say, hey, let's balance it out? Like, at what point technological innovation for innovation's sake, to see how far we can go, just to see how far we can go, in my opinion, is worthless unless we bring some soul and some spirit and some love to the equation and say, how can this best serve us? For every single technological innovation that's made, people are like, oh, look, we can fly these little planes now, and you can operate it with a remote control. It's great to take. Wow, we can take these photos of these amazing landscapes. You can see, the Grand Canyon like never before. But also, this at the same time, there's some, someone's like, can we put a bomb on it? It's every single innovation also goes into another. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have these things. What I'm saying, it's not the things. It's not the inventions. It's not the innovation that's the issue. What the issue is our like moral compass, our level of consciousness, our ability to have empathy and compassion and love, our choices, the values in which we deem to be most important, that are baked into the social to the institutions and the paradigm that we live. Like the nature of power in our world dictates the tone. It dictates the values. It dictates what to aspire to, because if you aspire to the values that are being injected into the culture, into the society by the power, then you are rewarded for playing and adhering to the rules of that game. But that game, in my opinion, is a twisted one, a parasitical one. So I think we have a real opportunity to reorient, to really decide on what is worth, what things are worth. And this is something that I think that is very difficult for most people because they've never been asked to think outside of the limitations imposed upon them by the construct, by the machine, by the program. But we have to think about, what do we really want our lives to be? We want to go back to normal, and we want to go back to business as usual because that is what is known. But is that what is really serving us? Is that what is really nourishing our souls? Is it really fulfilling every single part of our being that feels alive and in love with life? Are we able to really live a life of love and a vision to the radiant particulars of the world? Walking in a park and looking at a bird and watching it flap around and noticing the minuscule, tiny little grains, ridges in the trees, and the smell of the air maybe has a moist, grassy, dewy smell to it. To slow down, to tune in, to turn on, and to lean in, and to merge with everything. I wrote this post on Instagram about this, about like how, we want to go back to normal, but maybe normal, what we deem to be normal, is what got us here in the first place. And I really do believe that to be the case, as Charles Eisenstein was talking about in his essay when he refers to terrain theory. So he's like, there's germ theory, and then there's terrain theory. And the terrain theory, like basically it's like if you have a fish and your fish is sick, the germ theory says, all right, take the fish and isolate the fish, right? And that's kind of what we're practicing right now. Terrain theory is clean the tank, clean the fish tank. That is the thing that our systems and institutions know how to do, is produce vacuum solutions. Band-aids for bullet wounds, and isolated, because we live in this isolated and separate world, this disconnected and detached world, that's where all of our solutions come from. But we live in an interconnected web. We live in a mycelial world. We live in a creative and destructive, chaotic, organized, rich world of strength and courage and resilience. And like that Terence McKenna quote where he says, nature loves courage. Nature loves courage when you make the commitment. I forget how the rest of it goes. I'll pull it up. Nature loves courage. You make the commitment, and nature will respond to that commitment by removing impossible obstacles. All right, I'll read it in my voice. Dream the impossible dream, and the world will not grind you under. It will lift you up. This is the trick. This is what all these teachers and philosophers who really counted, who really touched the alchemical gold, this is what they understood. This is the shamanic dance in the waterfall. This is how magic is done, by hurling yourself into the abyss and discovering it's a featherbed. Yeah. That is what it is. But, it's like, so how do we wake up and escape out of the fear-based dependent paradigm of, adhering to every single edict and dictate of authority? It can only be done on an individual level. And I'm a big believer in just saying no. No, I won't do that. No, I won't participate. And not just saying no, but also like exploring other alternative options as well. I don't go to the doctor. I don't get injections. I don't get vaccines. I don't get a lot of, I don't subscribe or adhere to the standard medicalized model of, where we, the current time right now. I don't use hand sanitizer. I don't, maybe now I'm using a little bit, but I just try and take care of myself as best as I possibly can, but I also try and enjoy things that I love and just try and live. To me, the most important thing is to live a great life and to live a great life on my own terms. The real tragedy of life is that so many people aren't living a life of their own, that we are being herded around like sheep by the mandates and dictates and orders by a few people pulling the strings. That is not the kind of world that I like. That is not the kind of world that I want to participate in. I am interested in radical self-expression, increasing complexity of weirdness and novelty and diversity, strange and new and interesting cultures and experiences. I'm interested in getting messy and muddy and dirty, and there's a value in that, in building up, as George Carlin says, like, and then, like many people say, but I remember the George Carlin bit where he's like, you need germs. Germs are good for you. They, you get dirty, you get sick. They make you stronger. Because they need practice. If you've never encountered any single challenge or any single obstacle of your entire life, and you're just this pampered, person who's never done a shred of manual labor, anything, and somebody asks you to do something, it's going to be one of the most challenging things in the world for you. If you've never lifted a weight in your life, you've never worked out or done any kind of exercise whatsoever, and somebody asks you to work out and lift weights, it's going to be hell, because you've never done it. If you've never had to critically think for yourself and someone's asking you to critically think, it's going to be really challenging. And the same goes for germs and disease and viruses. If you don't have practice building up resilience, but we need to have bodily sovereignty, bodily autonomy, sovereignty of the being, cognitive liberty, the right to choose what goes in and out of our consciousness and how we alter it and how we shape it. Cognitive liberty is about, I have the right to alter my consciousness in whichever way I see fit. It's my mind, my body, my soul, my choice, right? My being, my world, my life. But at the same time, it's also, what do we let in? What do we allow ourselves to be exposed to? What kind of programmed messages are we allowing to seep into our neurons and augment and alter them? So I'll wrap up with this, and it's so I value the risk of the liberated and free human being able to make his own decisions and able to love and trust the power of collective intelligence within his community and within his tribe, over the mandates and dictates of white lab coats and suits and ties, people that are controlling and manipulating behind the scenes in the shadows, the unelected officials, the think tanks, the bureaucracies, the pencil pushers, the paper pushers, even the scientists who adhere to the religion of scientism and buy into the dogmas and the limitations and the borders and the boundaries that come along with those constructs in those echo chambers. I want people to empower themselves to choose their own myths, to choose their own worlds and their own realities that work best for them. Because who are we to tell anybody else that they shouldn't be or shouldn't be engaged, they should or shouldn't be doing something or engaged in something? If it's fulfilling and nourishing and satisfying for that group, by all means, create it. So I wrote, things will not go back to normal, and that's not such a bad thing because normal is what got us here. Maybe normal is the problem. Normal is the real virus. Normal is the real pandemic. Normal life is the real killer. Normal is an illusion. We think we are safe and secure and comfortable, but for many, they are comfortably numb, conditioned to accept this life as the way things are. It's not. It doesn't have to be. It's all held together by belief. We can believe new things if we choose. The economy, money, government, corporations, banks, all of these things are ideas that we collectively agree upon, whether we tacitly resign to accept them or we willingly and voluntarily participate in them. Whatever we do, by allowing them to exist, we agree to perpetuate them. We can do better, though. If we choose to agree on new ways outside of the illusion of the false promises and the false sense of structure and safety and security, many people can be empowered to create a multitude of diverse and new and novel ways of being. But many people are now talking about going back to normal, or also about a new normal. And a new normal is inevitable, there's no doubt. But we actually get to choose what new normal we want. Do we want to be isolated, separated, disconnected, living in a technocratic nanny state, a fear-inducing control matrix? Or do we want connection, community, fearless love, fearless care for each other, support, families, friends, and time? Time for leisure, time for looseness, time for play, time for silliness, time for ease, time for laughing and loving and growing healthy food and sharing and swimming in clean lakes and rivers and oceans. Free, liberated human spirits living with gratitude and respect for the precious gift of all life and all beings, all living things. We can do better. Now is the time to take this opportunity to reimagine a new world and not go back to business as usual. Do not distract. Pay attention. Pay attention to what is happening now for you and for the people around you. Power is moving hard and fast like never before to take more of our liberties away. Total plundering, pillaging, billions and trillions to enrich themselves and their cronies while we all get totally screwed. The powers that be rule from fear, and they can only do it when we're afraid. But there's more of us than them, and we need to step outside of the fear programming. We don't have to fall in line. We don't have to go back to the quiet desperation. We don't have to go back to the soul-crushing drudgery of normal life. We have a great opportunity right now. The world is on pause. We can invent new ways. Now is the time to think about what the new normal should be. And, there's a point in Chris Ryan's book where he talks about, the real tragedy of life is not these scary, fantastical, grand events that we find ourselves in. And I talked about this on my last Solocast about like how when the movie Jaws came out, And Chip and Dan Heath's book Made to Stick, like they brought this example up when the movie Jaws came out. People were all of a sudden, all around the world, were terrified of shark attacks, terrified to go into the ocean. When the truth of the matter was, there was only about 50 to 80 shark attacks a year worldwide. But the story, the sex appeal of the story, the scariness, the narrative, the hero-villain archetype, that is the way in which we construct things, and we buy into this fear, and we buy in, and we sensationalize it. But he says, Chris Ryan in his book, that the real tragedy is having to wake up to a buzzing alarm clock every day. You know, the real tragedy, the real sickness is what we call this normal life, this life that we've civilized ourselves to death in. And we've taken all of the radical, exuberant, risky fun out of, and the raw freedom to just exist on our own terms, to take our time back, to take our power back. When we take our time back, we take our power back. And when we have that, when we have all that, when we're able to go inside and really see and understand who we truly are, that we really do understand what Ram Dass was talking about in the story of Jesus, where he says, yeah, man, look, you guys want to kill me and torture me and all that kind of stuff. That's your rap. That's your problem, you know? But you can never kill me. I mean, you'll end this idea of me, but the control, the spot, like, where does it go? Where does it get to? What are we doing, and what are we building, and for who, and for what? If not for us, then why? If not for now, then why? If not for a better life for our future generations of kids and grandkids, then what is it worth? What kind of world do we want to see them live in? What kind of world do we ourselves want to live in? We can have it now. We're here now. Life is happening now. Detach yourselves from the timeline of history. Drop in to who you really are. And me saying this doesn't mean anything. You gotta feel it. You gotta feel it. And, you know, maybe I'm just, you know, some wide-eyed, you know, delusional optimist that's romantic about all this stuff. But if I am, I'm not, so be it. Like, I choose to believe. I choose to have this faith. And for those who it also resonates with, cool. Let's do it. Let's choose a better world together. Let's help and support each other to bring about and manifest our internal, deepest desires, love, and feelings into the world. There's an opportunity for us to enter into a richer narrative. Richer, and I mean by, you know, kind of meatier. And, you know, that comes with us really tapping into our powers and really feeling and sensing what we believe to be the best things to do for ourselves, and not giving our minds and our souls and our hearts away to distant authorities. You know, like, I remember I was looking at this thing that was showing all these centurions. I think that's how you pronounce it, centurions. People that are 100 years old and older, and they were like interviewing them and going around and, you know, talking to what they do. And, you know, one guy's like, every night I smoke a cigar before I go to bed. And, you know, this other like woman's like, I enjoy bacon every morning. And, you know, and it's like, you would be like, oh, that's not healthy. Like, you know, we got to like optimize, like human optimization. We need to human optimization of the human being. Robotize everything. Tim Ferriss, 4-hour work week, go to bed, sleep, wake up. How much REM sleep did I get? Calculate. I mean, if that's your trip, man, that's your trip. Like, go ahead, play that game. That's cool. That's fine. Whatever. If that's what you want to do. That's not how my brain works, and I'm not interested in that at all. I'm interested in the loose, messy life. I'm interested in the chaotic, unorganized, surprise life. And I'm also interested in the life where I get to eat bacon, where I get to eat chocolate, where I get to, where I enjoy it, where I don't shame myself and ridicule myself for, oh, that's not healthy, that's not right. Where I can, maybe I can have a cigar, maybe I can have a glass of wine and not be, but I do. That's what I do that. Like, I do. And it's great because I love to enjoy. And we should all be enjoying. And these people, that was the key to their success, or their not success, the key to their success. The key to their longevity and their happiness was that they had these rituals. They had these little sort of ceremonies of enjoyment, things that gave them pleasure that they did routinely. And on top of that, they also had really tight-knit communities, because the health and wealth of wealth, I mean by like the fulfillment and satisfaction of our lives comes from our connections with other people. Like if you look, I think there's that book Blue Zones, where they looked at like the Mediterranean diets and the Japan and these communities, and it was aside from the diet that was like high in omega-3s and omega-6s and fatty fish oils and things like that. It was the connection, the community that people had. So connection, community, and ritual and ceremony. We don't need to overcomplicate things too much. We don't need to double down on these, egotistical externalizations of the material reductionist paradigm that is driving us straight into a technocratic dystopia. That is a potential like reality that we can all live in, or we can live in the one that makes us feel the most human. And you have to decide what that is for yourself. All right, well, that about wraps it up. Join me and my friends and this great crew, Isolation Tank, every Tuesday and Friday. We're streaming live on the Evolve and Ascend Facebook page. We're having a watch party, and also DMT, the Spirit Molecule page. Great crew, great group of human beings. And we're talking about all kinds of things like this in this time right now. Stay tuned for more episodes from me. And you know what to do if you love the show, if you love things. Tell people about it, share it, like, subscribe. I guess one of the ways that you can help is by doing that and leaving, maybe a 5-star review if you think that that's what this deserves. And also, reach out to me, message me, let me know what you think. Find me on Instagram at MikeGadelic_podcast, and on Facebook, Mike Brancatelli, my website, MikeBrank.com. You guys know where to go. You guys know where to find me. You guys know how to use Google. Reach out, talk, tell me things. I love hearing from people. And thanks so much for listening. Be well and enjoy.